Jesus receives prayers. Prove me wrong. If Jesus isn't God, then why did the very first Christian martyr pray to him in his final moments? If prayer is meant for God alone, then what did Stephen know that skeptics refuse to admit? Stay with me. You'll want to hear this. The bold stand. The city was in an uproar. Stephen, a man full of faith and power, had been dragged before the council, the same powerful leaders who had condemned Jesus not long before. His crime? Preaching the truth about Jesus Christ. The Sanhedrin, the ruling Jewish council, glared at him. Their faces were stern, their hearts full of anger. Stephen should have been afraid, but he wasn't. Instead, he stood firm. His eyes burned with conviction. He spoke with boldness, recounting Israel's history, showing how the prophets had foretold the coming of the righteous one, Jesus. "You have betrayed and murdered him," he declared, his voice unwavering. The words hit like a hammer. The leaders clenched their teeth. Fury twisted their faces. The heavens opened. Then something incredible happened. Stephen's eyes lifted toward the sky. His breath caught. His face changed, glowing like that of an angel. "Look!" he exclaimed. Gasps rippled through the room. What was he seeing? "I see the heavens opened, and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God." A stunned silence. Then, outrage. The leaders covered their ears and screamed. They couldn't bear to hear it. "Blasphemy!" someone shouted. "Stone him!" another cried. The mob surged forward, seizing Stephen, dragging him out of the city. The prayer that changes everything. The crowd gathered around him, fists full of stones. Hatred burned in their eyes. Stephen fell to his knees. He knew what was coming, but there was no fear, no regret, only peace. Then he did something that shattered every argument against Jesus' divinity. "Lord Jesus, receive my spirit," he prayed. Not to the Father, not to an angel, to Jesus. The rocks struck him, one after another. Pain shot through his body, blood ran down his face, and yet, even as his strength faded, his voice remained clear. "Lord, lay not this sin to their charge." With that, he fell asleep. The challenge to skeptics. Stephen prayed to Jesus, not as a mere prophet, not as a messenger, but as Lord, the one who had the power to receive his soul. The very first Christian martyr, in his final breath, called upon Jesus the same way people had always called upon God. Why? If Jesus isn't God, explain this. If prayer is for God alone, then why did Stephen pray to Jesus? The Sanhedrin knew what it meant. That's why they silenced him. The question is, will you? Closing and call to action. Stephen saw Jesus standing in heaven, waiting for him. He knew the truth. Do you? If you believe Jesus is Lord, type "Jesus is Lord" in the comments. And if you're still questioning, I challenge you, prove this wrong. If you love powerful Bible stories like this, like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Jesus receives prayers. What will you do with that truth?